Hello everyone and welcome to Channel 18 TV News. I'm Don Julian. In the news, the ranch-style home on 4th Street, constructed by Sulphur Springs High School career and technology students over the course of 2 years, should have an owner soon. Monday, the Sulphur Springs School Board accepted 2 bids in rank order. Both bids were from private individuals. Although the home will go to the top bidder, the second bid was approved as a backup in case something does not go through in the process. A 53-year-old Sulphur Springs man has been sentenced to 17.5 years in federal prison for child exploitation violations in the Eastern District of Texas, according to U.S. Attorney Joseph D. Brown. Russell Dean Hill pleaded guilty on May 3rd to distributing child pornography and was sentenced to 210 months in federal prison by U.S. District Judge Sean D. Jordan on Wednesday. Upon his release from the Bureau of Prisons, Hill will serve 8 years on federal supervised release and will be required to register as a sex offender. In September of 2018, Hopkins County law enforcement officers received a tip that Hill, who had previously been convicted of child exploitation offenses, had uploaded child pornography onto an online social media platform. A team from the county executed a search warrant on the man's home last November, and law enforcement discovered that Hill was trading child porn on multiple platforms using a digital device that he owned. The Wildcat Band begins its contest season on Saturday. The band is preparing for their UIL contest on October 15th. I talked with Wildcat Band Director Spencer Emmert on Friday morning.
We call October Bandtober because it gets pretty crazy with the band kiddos. We talked about it this morning with the kids. 4 weeks of Friday night football games, right into 4 weeks of Saturday competitions. This is kind of what we work all year for. Is these last 4 weeks here? The kids have just had a great run on their preparation. We've had some good performances Friday nights, but they're eager to get to perform in their area, which is marching contests.
Now you have one that'll be coming up on Saturday.
Yes, our first contest will be tomorrow, and it's Mesquite Memorial Stadium. It's a win-win for us because that is also where our area contest will be. So we'll get a good judges' critique tomorrow. But most importantly, the kids will get a preliminary run in that stadium. That way, if and when we qualify for area at the end of the month, they'll feel a little bit more comfortable on that field and in that stadium with some of the reverberations that occur in there. And so that's where we are.
Good morning, SSHS.
Spencer, based on what you've seen on the football field, do you feel the band is ready for these contests now?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The kids have really We've had a hard season thus far of lots of hours of work, lots of intense rehearsals. What I told them today was we're so proud of them because they have all responded just great. They've worked hard. The attendance level is great. The momentum is awesome. And we have kind of a process and a goal in mind for this year, which is the next step into being where ultimately we want to be. And we feel like that we have a real shot at achieving those goals this year.
Is the show, has it turned out like you expected? Has it surprised you, or how's it been performing? You've been on several fields.
Yeah. It's a challenging show. If you've seen it on Friday nights, you can see that the drill is very rigorous. It's ambitious. The music is challenging. Put those two aspects of the show together, and it does create quite a intense show, but it also is demanding for those kids to perform that. It's a 7.5 minute show, but it is action packed the entire time. And so right now we're really working and focused on stamina and endurance, able to push through that show all the way through, because those judges are going to be judging us on all that. But basically, we're pleased with the show. We feel like it's come to fruition. The vision is there. We've added a few new surprises as we move forward, continuing. We've changed our backdrop schematic, and we are adding a few other neat things. We're kind of repurposing our front little stage to emulate and look more like a ship. And so we're hoping to be able to convey that process of that show theme a little bit easier.
Has a lot more drama to it. I mean, in terms of choreography and the way they start out with the show and everything. Any feedback on that? What kind of feedback are you getting?
Yeah. I think people are understanding as they see the other bands that come in. I think people are understanding that this is just kind of the trend of where marching bands are. Competitive marching bands, for more specifically, that choreography and the show themes and kind of the show production aspect is just as important as the execution itself. And so we're putting our students on that level, and so far we've had great response. Our parents are really impressed and are really enthusiastic. We seem to have a huge group of people committed to following us to contests this season, and the more that can come and support these kids, the better. I will say this, there's something special when those band students start to march on that field. When there is an eruption from the stands of support, it just makes them stand a little taller and feel a little bit less nervous. They feel a little bit more comfortable and ready to give their best. So that's exciting. The other great part about marching contests is once the show starts, it's silent. So unlike a football game, the students can really hear well, they can guide well, and the judges can hear every small nuance that may or may not be heard on Friday nights.
What time will the band take the field on Saturday?
This Saturday is 4:30 at Mesquite Memorial. And there is not a finals at this contest. This is just a one performance, and you get your ratings and your judging comments. But next week, when we go to Royce City, that will be a prelims final situation. And then UIL, the big one that's sponsored by the state and TEA, is on the 15th at Mount Pleasant, and that is a Tuesday.
Very good. It's important this year. I think this is an advancing year.
Absolutely. If the band receives first division on the 15th at Mount Pleasant, they'll qualify for area, which is the UIL contest that sends bands from this area to the state marching contest, and that will be back at Mesquite Memorial, which is where we're going tomorrow. And that's an exciting opportunity for the kids, and they are working hard to do the absolute best they can.
Bandtober, huh?
Bandtober, that's right. That's what we call it now.
Very good. In sports, the Wildcats and Lady Cats cross-country teams had their final warm-up before district competition next week on Thursday. More from Sulphur Springs cross-country coach Ross Hicks.
Sure, we went to Lindale over at Garden Valley, the old Garden Valley golf course. Very, very hilly, very challenging course, which was great. Some of our GPSs even said it was a little bit long. We had some everybody's times were just probably about a minute and a half slower, but that was top to bottom. We had some state level competition there with Kaufman being there and Jacksonville and Mount Pleasant, so everybody's times were a little bit slower, but that's fine. It was just a good hard course and really a good gut check to see how tough we were. And I think our girls started out the day that they ran very well. They weren't sometimes it's best just kind of bliss to the fact that it's a hard course. It's a little bit long, and so they just went out and attacked it and ran really well. They ended up finishing fourth overall out of a field of about 13 teams. So again, led by Sydney Washburn, who was closely followed by freshman Lainey Hurst, which has been the theme throughout the year. Then third was another freshman, Maddie Bridges, who's coming on, and I'll just go ahead and say she runs with those two in practice, and I know that she has the capability to run with those, and I think that she's getting ready to peak along with those others girls, and so exciting things. Fourth for us was Kenya Herrera, she's been a little banged up. She's a junior. She does a lot of other things, and so we've just been her main thing trying to get her back on track, and she really ran well, ran hard. And then fifth for us was Mari Flecker. Those two are juniors, and they're more experienced racers, and they understand what it takes, and they really competed well. on that day. So I was very proud of that effort out of those top 5 scoring girls for us, and I really think it's going to lead to some good things in Mount Pleasant. Mount Pleasant finished 3rd, 1 spot ahead of us. So we know that we're going to have our hands full to go get them next week, but it's definitely very, very possible, and so we'll just see what happens next Wednesday with them.
All right, and the guys?
On the guys' side, our senior captain Christian Palomino, he'd be the first one to tell you he's had some roller coaster season, but yes, in championship season is when he turns it on, and he finished 6th overall yesterday, and just had one of those races like his old self. When he comes to championship season, something clicks, he turns it on, and he had his best race of the season. Obviously the times are kind of irrelevant on this course, but he ran right there with some of those guys who he was running with, at the end of last year, and kind of back where he needed to be. Then he was followed again by sophomore Jose Mejia, who just he struggled a little bit with the course. He kind of let it get in his head, but he took it as a learning opportunity, and he kind of saw, mentally, this course got the better of me mentally today, and I'm not going to let that happen again. Then 3rd for us was Camden Fuller. Camden had a little bit of, last week he went out for it, and he paid for it in the last mile. He ended up being towards the back of our runners, and this week he started out a little bit more conservative, not a lot, but a little bit, and that really helped him at the end of the race, and he was our 3rd overall finish. Right behind him and Jose were neck and neck, and that was great to see, and that really helped us out tremendously. 4th was another sophomore, Evan Patrick, who he's just come on and been one of our more consistent runners, but also he continues to get better as well as the season goes on. And then 5th for us was a senior, Chase Berry, who he's involved in a lot of other things, but yet he's really taking it seriously the last few months, and just been a good leader and a good asset for our team. So it's hard to judge based off of the times on this one, but we competed well. The boys finished 5th overall in a field of, I think there was 14 teams in the boys race, out of the 5 and 6A schools, and Kaufman, two of those teams, Kaufman and Mount Pleasant, both have a chance to be in the top 4 to go to state, and there was just some quality competition, and I think it was the best that they had competed with them all year, which is, we train, like we talked about last week, to peak at this time of year, and I really believe that they believe that they are peaking, and that physically we are, and that we'll be ready for district on Wednesday.
Very good. And that's Channel 18 TV News. I'm Don Julian. Thank you for joining me, and so long, everybody.